Welcome everyone. So we will be discussing Indian contribution to science. This is a book which is compiled by Vigyan Bharati, and this is one of the chapters which is there for the VVM examination. Indian traditional knowledge on environmental conservation. Introduction. In many parts of Indian communities have inherited the rich tradition of love, reverence for nature through ages. Religious preaching, traditions, and customs have played a big role in this regard. Indian religions have generally been the advocates of environmentalism. They campaigned for such guidelines to commoners that ensures an initiate contact and sense of belonging in nature. It came in the form of directives to the believers to perform certain rites and rituals so that it became a way of their life. Sometimes the messages of environmental protections and conservation are in a veiled form. Today, when the world is undergoing a serious crisis of ecological imbalance and environmental degradation, it is all the important for us to understand such tradition. Nature. The culture of conservation of nature dates back to ancient Vedic period. The four Vedas, Rigveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda are full of hymns dedicated to the supremacy of various natural entities. The Rigvedic hymns refer to the many gods and goddesses identified with sun, moon, thunder, lightning, snow, rain, water, rivers, trees, etc. They have been glorified and worshipped as givers of health, wealth, and prosperity. The rain god Indra has largest number of hymns attached to him. Sun worship is of vital importance in Vedic worship. The sun was worshipped in the form of gods like Surya, Martanda, Usha, Pushan, Rudra, etc. Today, it has been proved that solar energy is the ultimate source of energy that regulates the energy flow through the food chain, derives various nutrient cycles, and thus controls the ecosystem all over the earth. But it was probably well understood and realized by the ancient people as well. The Gayatri mantra of Rigveda, which is chanted on very auspicious occasion, is full of praise for the sun. Similarly, the Atharva Veda highlights the importance of nature and has a beautiful hymn in the praise of the earth. With remarkable foresight, Thiruvalluvar Kural, an ancient text in Tamil from South India, stresses the need to remain under nature's protection. Sparkling water, open space, hills, and forests constitutes a fortress. Guru Granth Sahib states, air is Guru, water is the father, and earth is the great mother of all. Flora and fauna, trees have been given huge importance the ancient Indian tradition. The four Vedas are full of references to various herbs, trees, and flowers and the significance. Trees and plants were considered as animate beings, and to harm them was regarded a sacrilege. The Atharva Veda glorifies the medicinal value of various herbs. In the ancient texts, we come across references to trees like Kalpavriksha, the and Parijata with mythical powers, Padma lotus, and trees like Vatavriksha banyan and or the flame of the forest, Palash in Hindi, the beauty frondosa were given special attention. The worships of people tree, also known as Bodhi tree, Ashwavatta in Sanskrit, Ficus religiosa, became a folk ritual and the people was called the king of trees in Brahma Purana. In the course time, many such plants and trees to be associated with various gods and goddesses and were worshipped accordingly. In your own locality, you must have seen women moving in circle around a tree each morning. Did you ever try to understand the reason? There are some scientific reasons underlying those beliefs. The people tree continuously releases oxygen in the atmosphere, and therefore, such knowledge must have been put into the spiritual forms by the ancestors. Similarly, trees like bale, that is Aguilar marmelas, Ashoka, Suraka, Asoka, sandalwood, and coconut hold special significance in various religious rituals. So do Dhruva grass, that is Cynodon dactylon, tulsi or tulasi, that is oghimum, the banana, lotus marigold, china rose, hibiscus, and the flowers of milkweed, arc, calotropis. Three major factors were responsible for the origin of the tree cult in India. Their woods, leaves, fruits, etc., were useful to humans. It was believed that the trees were possessed by spirits who guided humans in their distress, and humans developed respect for trees, which often provided them with an alternative for medicinal plants, flora and fauna, and their associations with the human beings were depicted in epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana and Kalidasa, Abhigyana Shakuntala, etc. They provided colorful portrayals of trees, creepers, animals, and birds conversing with people and sharing their joys and sorrows, which shows that people believed in harmony between man and nature. Manusmriti, an early Sanskrit text, gives an distinct classification of trees and states that some of them can experience pleasure and pain and have awareness. It is also marked in the scriptures that the tree could be adapted as sun. Many Puranas describe these rituals as Taruputra Vidhi, the Upanaya, that is initiation ceremony performed for the Ashwatha tree, that is people, and the marriage ritual performed between the banyan tree and neem tree are also noteworthy. Watering the plants is considered as a greatly rewarding in Dharmasastra text. According to Kautilya, cutting trees or its branches is an offense, and he prescribed various punishments for it. Sacred groves. The tradition of sacred groves was also common in ancient period and is still practiced by folk for tribal communities. A sacred grove consists of a bunch of old trees, generally at the outskirts of the village, which were left untouched when the original settlers cleared the forest to establish the village. Such groves were regarded as adobes of gods and goddesses or spirits and hence protected with utmost care. The cutting of trees was prohibited in these areas and nobody dared to disobey the injunctions, partly because of the religious faith and partly due to the fear of facing the wrath of the gods, goddesses, and spirits. In many sacred groves, villagers perform sacrifices and offerings to gods during festivals and their occasions. This tradition of sacred groves could be matched with contemporary notion of biosphere reserves. So we have the votive horses in the sacred grove, Madura in the Madurai region, and here we have the state-wise numbers of sacred groves in India. Next, coming to wildlife. Wildlife or wild animals have, and even domesticated ones were also given pride in the place and respect in ancient tradition. Many Hindu gods and goddesses have some particular animal or bird as their vehicles or vahanas. These include lion, tiger, elephant, bull, horse, peacock, swan, owl, vulture, ox, mouse, etc. The association of wild animals with people's religious beliefs played a significant role. Their preservation for so very long in India until the colonial rule indulged in intensive hunting. The feelings of sacredness attached to the wildlife protected it and contributed to maintaining an ecological balance. For instance, the snake's association with god Shiva and the snake or Naga worship was a conscious effort by our saint to preserve the animal who otherwise incites fear and persecution because of its oppressive venomous nature. In fact, snakes are an important link in the food cycle and play a significant role in maintaining the ecological balance. Manusmriti has references to direct and indirect instruction about conservation of plants and animals. It gives specific punishments for harming trees or animals. Many artifacts and seals of the ancient Indian Indus Valley civilization depicts animals like the bull, the tiger, the elephant, the rhinoceros, the buffalo, and the gharials, but often too mythical animals such as unicorn. Although the precise significance of this animal symbolism remains a matter of debate, Harappans clearly attach great importance to it. They also appear to have worshipped trees as evidenced by several tablets, such as this one, in which the tree is depicted raised over a platform. During the Vedic period, the cow was considered a very valuable animal. Aditi, the mother of gods in Rigveda, was often called the divine cow. In Mahabharata, the whole earth is compared to a cow, and which humans, gods, and demons, trees, and mountains all melt to get what they desired out of her. Many of the Shastras prescribed the unnecessary killing of animals. Later, Mauryan ruler Ashoka was prohibited in this edicts hunting and cruelty to animals. His edict at Garnar in Gujarat also ordered medical treatment for them when necessary. So there are few tablets that we have for the protection of animals and protection of plants, which is the punishment which is prescribed in the Manusmriti for the acts hostile to the environment. So in protection of plants, first, the what is the nature of offense we have? We have felling living trees for establishment of mine, factory, or constructing big bridge or dam, etc., or firewood. We have for all these bridges and all, we have the offender should be commended as a degraded person in 1164, and if it is for firewood, that offender should be condemned as a degraded person according to 1165. Cutting down fruit laden tree or shrub or twiner or climbers or flowering plants, offenders should recite certain arches for 100 times, that is in 11143. Destroying plants cultivated or monocarpous or wild to atone for the sin, the offender has to attend on a cow throughout a whole day and undergo the penance by substituting only on milk. Protection of animals. If you are found teasing the animal, the punishment should be commensurate with the gravity of offense according to 8 to 86. Wounding or injuring leading to bloodshed, etc., cost of treatment should be borne by the offender. If other animals are harmed because of untrained driver of a vehicle, owner of the vehicle is to pay fine of 200 panas. Causing harm to the noble animal like cow, elephant, camel, horse, etc., offender is to pay a fine of 500 panas, that is according to 8296. So Kautilya Arthasastra also mentions forest and animals sanctuaries where animals were protected from poaching. A superintendent of forest was responsible for their upkeep, and for a proper management of forest producing, poaching was punished with various penalties. conserving teaching in Buddhism and Jainism. Buddhism and Jainism, the two popular heterodox sects of ancient times, also advocated nature conservation. Buddhism believes in tolerance, love, compassion, forgiveness, and non-violence to all. Jainism advocates complete non-violence or ahimsa. It treats every creature of the earth, including the smallest insects and microbes, as of equal importance and forbids their killings by all means. The perception went a long way towards preserving biodiversity. While Jainism preaches complete non-violence, Buddhism follows the middle path and states that killing of animals or felling of trees should not be done until absolutely necessary. Mahavira gives the following preaching to his followers about environment in Acharanga Sutra: nature, according to him, is to be protected in all ways. No waste, no overuse, no abuse, no polluting. If we follow this principle, then we would stop destroying our environment as well as preserve the resources that are available for all to share. If there are more resources available for all, then the poor will be able to get a fair share thereof. R.P. Chandaria. Bishnois and conservation. During the medieval period, many religious sects became popular which vehemently advocated conservation of natural environment. One such sect was that of Bishnois, which became widely accepted in climatically hostile zone of Rajasthan. These followers of the sect advocated banning of tree felling since they believed that trees are the basis of harmonious and prosperous environment. The love for the trees was so greatly infused in the minds of and souls of the Bishnois that in Khejrali village of Rajasthan, about 363 young and old men and women embraced the khejri trees to protect them from being felled by the king's men. The local rulers had ordered the cutting of khejri tree to use them for his lime kilns as fuel. The Bishnois hugged them and many were killed in the episode. Later, the temple was built in honor of the Bishnois martyrs. One of the leading women of the movement was Amrita Devi Bishnoi. The Repentant king later issued an edict protecting trees and animals in Bishnoi controlled lands. The commoners from the semi arid zone had understood the real value of trees. Khejri leaves constitute an important feed for the livestock in the desert region like western Rajasthan, as they have high nutritional value for camels, cattle, sheep, and goat. A unique feature of this tree is that it eats much green foliage even during dry winter months when no other green fodder is available in the dry tracts. People from the semi-arid parts of western Rajasthan encourage the growth of the khejri tree in between the cultivable lands and pastures because of its extensive root system helped stabilize the shifting of sand dunes. It also fixes nitrogen through bacterial activity. Besides, the villagers use khejri leaves as an organic matter for rejuvenating non-fertile soil. Women use its flowers mixed with sugar during their pregnancy as a safeguard against miscarriage, and its bark is effective against dysentery, asthma, common cold, and rheumatic arthritis. Tradition of resistance. The 19th and 12th centuries saw more examples of resistance against forest cutting. Most of those movements were largely against the unjust colonial forest laws which affected the livelihood of local people, especially tribals. The creation of government protected forests by colonial government was disastrous for the tribals who were purely dependent on forest produce. The tribals communities were thus the forest hit by governmental forest. Thank you.